Hello, Marley May. Your Nanny Deb's going to read you a story. It's a story about a crocodile who lives in Australia. He's very fierce. He's frightened all the animals that's in the forest. It's called Crunch the Crocodile. I think that's back to front. That's not going to help you at all, is it, when you start to read? But that's okay. This is Crunch the Crocodile. Once there was a peaceful river. Can you see? There's brolgas and ducks and pied stilts, dragonflies. There's little godwits. Oh, there's a snake in the corner here as well. And a frog. It's a very peaceful river. They all look very happy. On the banks of the river, there lived a greedy crocodile. His name was Crunch. Oops. Can you see Crunch? He looks a little bit sneaky, doesn't he? A little bit sly. His name was Crunch. All the creatures on the river would tremble when they heard his voice. Crunch and munch, crunch and munch. My name is Crunch. I want my lunch. When the fish heard him coming, they would swim away. When the frogs heard him coming, they would hop away. When the worms heard him coming, they would wriggle away. And when the snakes heard him coming, they would slither away. And when the lizards heard him coming, they would run. Can you see them all? There's the frogs. And what's that? It looks like, I can't see. Is it a duck? The birds? There's a cockatoo. The snakes. This looks like a brolga and a lizard. Lots of creatures when you come to visit Nanny Deb in Australia. One morning, very early before the sun brought a warmth to the damp river air, the creatures held a secret meeting. Crunch had made them all afraid. See, they're having their secret meeting. They're all talking about what to do. We're too small to fight him, said a fish. That's why we swim away. He's too big for all of us, said one of the frogs. He creeps up on us when we sit on our nests, said the bird sadly. He squashes us into the mud with his feet, said the worm. He snaps at us when we lie on the rocks to warm ourselves in the sun, said the lizard and the snake together. They look very sad, don't they? All very concerned, and they don't want to be frightened anymore. The creatures plotted and planned. The first rays of light were touching the trees when they quietly went back to their homes. It wasn't long before they heard a familiar sound. Crunch and munch, crunch and munch. My name is Crunch, and I want my lunch. How they hated that sound. But today they had been waiting for it. Today they had a plan. As Crunch came creeping and searching and snapping his great toothy jaws, look at him. He looks very cross, very fast. I'd be scared of him too. The fish swam towards him. The frogs hopped towards him. The birds flew towards him. The worms wriggled towards him. The snakes slithered towards him. And the lizards ran. Yeah, they've got a plan. Look, they're all going to run towards the Crunch, the horrible crocodile. Crunch saw them coming, and his bulgy eyes bulged bigger. The fish were chasing him. The frogs were chasing him. The birds and lizards and snakes and worms were all coming nearer and nearer. Look at his face. He looks a bit scared, doesn't he? What a big, ginormous, monstrous meal Crunch could have. All he had to do was open his mouth wide and let them come in. But Crunch was not only greedy, he was a coward. He could hear the lizard's feet tapping as they ran, the wings flapping as they flew, the fish's tails swishing as they swam, and all the creatures stared at Crunch. And then they got closer and closer. They look a bit cross, don't they? They're all growling and scowling at him. He's looking a bit scared, isn't he? Crunch turned. Crunch ran. He slipped in the mud and splashed in the water as he hurried and scurried away. Crunch kept coming. Crunch kept going. He didn't want any swimming, running, hopping, wriggling or flapping things coming after him. The creatures on the river stopped and listened. Crunch kept on running. The birds twittered, the frogs croaked, and the worms glugged in the mud. Then the creatures turned from the chase. The fish swam, the frogs hopped, the birds flew, the worms wriggled, the snakes slithered, the lizards stood up and ran home as fast as they could to get to their part of the river. They all look very happy now, don't they? And by evening, the river was peaceful again. The shadows of the trees were long and dark upon the water, and wind was sweeping ripples through the reeds, and the creatures of the river fell fast asleep, not afraid any more. The end. I like that. Did you like that? Only goes to show you have to stand up to bullies. Show them you're not afraid. All right. I enjoyed that. I'll find another one for you. I love you, Marley, mate. I will talk to you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.